What's up, everyone? Andrew Reiner here with a special edition of the Game Informer podcast. Our focus here today is to answer your burning, most desired Spider-Man questions about Insomniac's upcoming Spider-Man game. I got Leo Vader here.
Hello.
And Kyle Hilliard.
Yeah, and we have another important guest as well.
We do. We'll get to him in a second. But we were the people that were on Game Informer's cover story trip. Right. We went to Insomniac Studios, got as much information as we could. We provided that to you for the entire month of coverage. And there were some gaps in there in terms of information you wanted, and we're going to ask those questions today. And we have a very special guest with us. We have creative director at Insomniac Games, Bryan Intihar. Hello, sir.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good.
So good. Great.
Before we're going to give the fans what they want, I'm dying to know what you thought of Avengers Infinity War. I know you went to the premiere. What'd you think of that film?
Oh, it came out? I didn't even realize it came out because there's been like no commercials or talk about it at all.
Right. You posed with, I was so jealous of you. Like 3 days before it opened on Thursday, you were posing in front of like this huge marquee sign at the premiere. And I was like, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's one of the perks, definitely. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I thought it was kind of 10 years in the making. I mean, I don't want to say too much because I think the whole point is it, right? Like spoilers. There's a lot of spoilers right off the bat. And I think for me, the biggest thing is, especially, working on games and about Marvel as story. And I thought they did such a good job with Thanos and just his arc. I thought he was for me the best character in the whole movie.
Wow. And it seemed like an impossible task. Like you have like 50 heroes. How do you give them all screen time? But it seems like everybody got, the proper amount. They all developed as characters. Like you said, the story, was mostly about Thanos, which was the big surprise. But
yeah, I mean, I think for me is like that movie shouldn't work. Like there's 9,000 things to tell you this should be a disaster. Yeah. And to coordinate that many different characters and working on something for 10 years, building up to this, it should be a disappointment. And I think it's the complete opposite. It's a big success. So, it was, I'm ready for the next one.
Oh yeah. I think everybody left that theater like, when is the next one coming out? Let's hone in a little bit more specifically on a point of interest for you. How do you think Spider-Man was handled in this one?
Well, I mean, you guys remember in the 114 barrage of questions, you guys asked me who my favorite Spider-Man was, and Tom is easily hands down my favorite. I think what's really great about him is how he fits in the MCU. He's the younger one. He's the one who brings a totally different perspective to the situation, and I thought he was great. I mean, and some of his stuff was some of the best parts of the movie. And
one thing we see is he's wearing the Iron Spider suit.
Yeah,
which you guys have in your game. You just announced as a pre-order bonus. And let's get into the questions now, guys.
Great.
It's a
so you started with the softballs and now the real interview.
Right. Yeah. It's a pre-order bonus. If I don't pre-order, do I not get to use that suit, or do I just get early access to it?
Early access. You still, we're not going to make that suit and not give everybody the possibility to use it.
And you so the villains and heroes in the game, you're redesigning them, giving them a new look or a different wrinkle on who they are. Are you applying that same kind of theory to the suits, or are these going to be 1-to-1 with the source material?
1-to-1. 1-to-1. We want to make sure that, especially for the the Iron Spider, we want to make sure that we were 100% accurate and it represented all the hard work that those artists put into that design. And I think what's really cool is that the fact that, I know this can sound really weird, but like in some way, I feel like we're involved in Infinity War, even just through the suit. So it was kind of surreal to, on Wednesday morning, wake up and say, hey, like in some little small way, our Marvel Spider-Man is involved with Infinity War. So it is a 1-to-1.
So are we going to have the other legs pop out?
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Oh,
cool. Well, they had some kind of special power.
And then I'm going to ask you one more quick question here, and then we'll throw it over to these guys. They have a bunch of questions for you, too. How do you switch suits in the game? We saw like a quick video of a phone. When we played it in the demo, it was just like a default, like a dev thing, right? Like, how is that going to happen when the game ships?
It won't be a phone. When we were making that spot, I didn't realize that was going to be a thing, that people were going to think you could do it on the phone. And that's sometimes scares me that, oh my God, how did we not think of that? In terms of people expecting that's how you switch the suits. You just go to the pause menu basically, and there's a suit page where you can switch your your suit and your suit powers.
Does he swing off screen and then come back in his new suit? Or is it just
No,
boop?
no.
He
it's
just comes back? Okay.
Comes back.
Just a boop.
All right, Kyle, you got a question here?
All right, let's see. So first question on my list here from King Blaze 21.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people ask these. These are not my questions.
Those were all my questions. These are now from the readers and people online who have been tuning into our month of coverage here.
Yeah. Does that
I don't know.
scare you?
I love the names. King Blaze 21. What is it? King Blaze 21?
Yeah, the other 20, their questions aren't as good. So I know Miles Morales is in the game, but are there any plans to make him a playable character in either a future game or DLC, assuming he's not playable in the main game? I'm
going to tell you guys the same thing I said to you guys back. This is a Peter Parker story. Miles is part of the universe.
All right. I'm going to trust you on this.
All right.
All right. Next question comes from Lionheart Kinson. Every, say, 100 times or so that we swing through a tree, do we come out the other side holding a cat?
No. But that would be awesome to add.
That'd be cool.
All right. Future DLC confirmed. Here's one question a lot of people asked, but this is coming from Silver1412. Can Spider-Man take off his suit and walk around the city as Peter Parker?
No, you play him multiple times during the main story path, but you won't be just walking around the city as Peter Parker.
Okay. So this one's from NR Worth 65. What was the team at Insomniac's main inspiration for using Mr. Negative as a main antagonist? I've personally always loved him as a Spidey villain, but I never thought I'd get to see him in a game since he's not necessarily the most well known. And NR Worth also wants to add that they're loving everyone's hard work and dedication on this game.
Well, thank you. That's a great question. I love that question. I think two reasons. One, it's both from a story side and a design side, gameplay side. You know, when we guys were visiting, we talked a lot about the idea of worlds colliding. You know, Peter's world and Spider-Man's world colliding, and we thought Mr. Negative would be a great villain to kind of feature that, with the idea that he runs those fee shelters where Aunt May works. And you kind of see that, you know, when he makes that realization that, oh, my God, my aunt is working for the new supervillain in the city, you kind of have that perfect collision. And just like I also thought, you know, it was a good opportunity to put a relative newcomer in the Spider-Man villains into the spotlight. And then at the same time, on the gameplay side, it was really his inner demons. We thought, you know, their negative abilities and their negatively charged weapons would add a lot of really great fodder to fight and force players to mix things up. For example, compared to like a typical, mob villain.
Gotcha.
For sure. Question from Phantom. Did you guys ever think about adding a subtitle to the title?
Oh, yeah. I saw that question because I totally stalked these questions before. And we did. We definitely talked about it, and we went through literally hundreds of ideas. And we just, it was actually Bill Roseman who just, as we were thinking of something and just everything just didn't feel right. And we said, he kind of talked about this idea. Hey, this is a new start for Spider-Man with this Marvel Games team. We're kind of starting our own thing. Let's just keep it clean, keep it simple. And it was kind of that moment where we all just said, yeah, like that's really good. And so that's when we kind of settled on Marvel Spider-Man. Simple, easy to remember, and it just the subtitles just all felt wrong. So, but yeah, we definitely tried hundreds of ideas.
Can you give us a taste of what one of them was?
I'd be embarrassed to even say
how about the worst one?
Yeah.
And tell us who came up with it too.
Oh, I think some of them had to do with like the word negative or something like that. And I was like, I just can imagine you guys writing a review where you bring up the subtitle in like a deck or something like that. Like, it's more negative than you think, or something like that. So I was, I put on my old EGM hat for a second and go, how are they going to use this against me?
Smart.
Speaking of costumes from before, Aaron Yee, you mentioned there would be a few costumes custom designed by Insomniac Games. Will you hold a contest for Spider-Man fans to submit their own designs and have the winner's design be selectable in game?
It's a really cool idea. I'll bring up the James Stevenson.
Oh,
it's a cool idea.
Okay. So from George McFly, from Back to the Future, I assume.
Oh, is this coming from like 1950 something?
Yeah,
Great,
I'm
awesome.
surprised that he knows about the game. That's impressive. I guess he
know.
has a time machine. So, can Spider-Man adjust himself or weave through vehicles as he's swinging, sort of like midair parkour? And then George adds, which I agree, that seems like a really hard thing to do.
So I think that I actually was looking at the questions, and everybody brings up that scene. I think is it from like Spider-Man 2 or 3 where he goes through the two trucks. I think there's that one scene where he web zips through them. You can't do that specific move. I know people really want it. It would be hard, but you do actually, as you're swinging around, you do have some like mid-air control of the character. So you actually are able to move him a little bit. It's just not as exactly specific between that exact moment from that movie.
Gotcha.
I guess there's a lot of there is some steerability when you're in midair.
Well, we've seen in trailers him like or in our gameplay that you guys gave us. Thank you. Was when he goes through the like cement tunnel that's like hanging.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the good point is like even though that kind of two trucks in between interact is not available, we do have different things in the world where you can like the big construction equipment where that kind of cylinder that you can like web zip through.
Yeah.
Cool. Ben Salem asks a question I've seen thousands of times this month. Will there be a demo before the official release?
I think right now all we're concentrating on is getting the game done. I mean, it's hard enough to just September 7th is, I know it's February. I mean, oh my God, I thought it was February. It's April 27th today. But we have a lot of work to do to bring this home. And right now we're just concentrating on getting this game done. So whether a demo happens or not, that's probably not the best question for me. It's probably more something for like the community guys. But right now we're just, at least me, I'm focused on, and the team is focused on making sure that on September 7th, you guys have a great game to play.
Cool.
Now your community guys said there's no symbiotes in the game. That was kind of revealed before we did our cover story and all that. But Lunar Spidey asks, will we see the black suit? Is that ruled out when you say there are no symbiotes? Could the black suit still be in this game?
Could be. It couldn't be. You'll have to play the game to find out.
Okay, so next up we got Corbin Willerton. What challenges did you face while making web swinging? Which is a pretty broad question, but I think it's a good one.
I think I'm going to go pretty broad real quick and just say the expectations that people have in their heads of how it's supposed to feel. I think there's something with the first time people have really swung through New York City as Spider-Man, that moment really sticks with them. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those like hallmark gaming moments. And I think that for a lot of people that started with Spider-Man 2, obviously. So how do we capture that feeling that you have in here and that you remember, but do it in our way, do it in the Insomniac way. So I think it's just hitting that superhero fantasy of swinging through New York City. I think it's just the expectations of like, outside of someone finding out we're making Spider-Man, the second question is, well, how does the swinging feel? So it's just hitting that expectations. And then it's just like, the technical things. It's just the character moves super fast. He moves like, I think three or four times faster than our Sunset character. So all the streaming ramifications. The, Sunset was a very stylized city. This is a much more photoreal looking city. So making sure the visual, we're not deal with the visuals. One thing for us that was really, really important off the bat was to make sure it felt like a New York City that's alive. So a lot of cars, a lot of NPCs. It was really important to us not to have a empty New York City. So you add all those technical ramifications in there, along with we've never made a Spider-Man game before, but the expectations are that it's going to be good, if not better, than what the previous developers have done. That's my long-winded answer to say it's really freaking hard, and lucky we have a really talented Universal team that's a lot smarter than me that made it pretty awesome.
Davey Zeno asks, can we visit locations outside Manhattan, Liberty Island, Queens, Brooklyn, etc.?
No, we're keeping you on the island for this game.
This is a cool thing. Mitch Dyer, who used to be at IGN, went over to Motive Studios.
I know Mitch.
He made a very similar move that you did in your career. He has a question for you. He asks, we grappled with this on Star Wars Battlefront 2, but found our footing with our heroine. How do you unify the entire team around a singular original vision for a franchise/character that means so much and probably different things to so many people at Insomniac?
Man, Mitch, dropping a major question. That's really good. You guys have heard me say the joke about like the greatest thing about working on Spider-Man is working on Spider-Man, but the hardest thing is working on Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we all have that. We all came at from that character through different ways. Some of us just read comics. Some of us just watched the cartoons. Some of us, some people just the movies, and then, whether, and then it's like comic, was it like the early 80s? Was it now? Was it, so I think we all have different influences, but I think what we tried to do was, what are the common characteristics, the relatability, the vulnerability, the sense of humor, that push and pull between his two different worlds. If we can, I think no matter which version of Peter Parker Spider-Man you like, those are the common factors. So making sure that the game that we were creating, the vision that we had, hit on all those major points. And if the team felt like we were hitting those pretty well, it was okay that maybe it's not the exact Peter Parker you had in head, because in most ways he really is.
Gotcha.
And it's something we go back and forth. I mean, to this day. I mean, we talk about it, and obviously when the game was earlier on, it was much more of a discussion and how we tweak things. But yeah, it's something we think about a lot, especially early on, and we want to make sure that we have a pretty big team, and like you said, a lot of people care about this character, and if the team's not buying in, then it's going to be really hard to make it. So we worked really, really hard to make sure that everybody was on board with it.
So Gashoy has a very kind of nitty-gritty specific control question. Is Spider-Man able to instantly get on a roof after a wall run by holding circle without flying into the air?
Yeah, okay. So you want a wall run and then just be right on top of the roof?
Like basically, yeah, just like coming up over the lip and just you're on your feet rather than being launched off the side.
Okay. I know you can do it. I just, in my head, sometimes we don't have the control in your hand. You can't figure out how, like, that button input.
Yeah.
So, but you can just kind of go right to the top.
Cool.
If you're running up that wall, can you immediately just go into a crawl?
Yeah, you just stop, just let go of the input, and then you'll just stick to the wall.
Awesome.
You know what? We have a video question for you. Let's take a look at that right now.
Hey, Brian. It's me, Greg Miller from KindaFunny.com. If you're on Game Informer, you don't. I'm Greg Miller, trending game of the year 2015. It was a long time ago, doesn't matter. KindaFunny.com. Brian, my question was, for a while I was dressing as a shirtless Spider-Man, hoping you'd put that costume in the game, and you didn't. So I was wondering if you knew anyone at Crystal Dynamics working on the Avengers game, and if they needed any mocap help for any unspecified Avengers characters.
Oh God, Greg's the best. Greg is the best, guys. He's so funny. That's a great question. I know Sean, who now works at Crystal, and I will definitely do everything I can to make sure that Greg Miller is represented in Avengers.
And if you do have that fan-created costume or suit contest, Greg Miller, get drawn, man. You can do it.
I did. I saw that artwork there. It said like the hero we deserve or something like that. That was it was amazing. Oh God, that was awesome. That was great.
Our next question comes from Luke FX. I realized that you removed the One World Trade Center from the game. Why? I love New York, and I was so happy when I discovered the tower in your trailer and the first gameplay. Why did you remove it now? And why do you show it in the trailer and the first gameplay?
It is in the game. It's just when through development, sometimes buildings get turned off, turned on. It was probably just a bug in the capture, but it's in the game.
Yeah, and I can confirm we saw it when we played the game. It was definitely in there.
Yep, it's in there.
Here's a question from Arg Gamer Dude.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a pirate?
Sure.
I don't know.
Arg.
How much input do you take from fans?
Well, we're all fans, first off. So, I mean, I think we all definitely, but I mean, I think one of the things, just an example, we are always looking at stuff and hopefully responding. You guys remember back at last E3, some people were worried that the swinging was too slow. And we actually, there were some things we looked in the numbers and we actually made some adjustments. And it's actually was at D23 where we showed new footage, it was actually much faster. So I would say we're definitely looking. I mean, every game we've ever made, we're always looking at what the fans are saying. Sometimes we can do things, sometimes we can't. It's just kind of, it depends on the topic.
Okay, and I bring that up because one thing I've seen from everybody, I could not believe how often I saw this, is, so this question comes from everyone everywhere.
Can I guess it?
Yeah, go for it.
Is it fall damage?
Yes, exactly.
Of course. Yeah, so it's something we talked about a lot about, and Some people will be happy, some people won't. We are not going to have fall damage in the game.
What about an option? Could it be?
No, we're not going to add the option. We talked about it. We're not going to add the option for fall damage. For us, it was about making sure that everybody feels like a superhero. Remember, this is a Peter Parker 8 years older. He's been doing it for 8 years. And we, not only from that standpoint of feeling like a superhero right away and not punishing players who may not get onto it, there are certain situations where we didn't want to run to. You could be, swinging as fast as you can through the city, and all of a sudden you see a shootout down the street, and say you web zip down and you want to get into the combat, but for some reason you're a little bit too high, and now you're starting the fight, with less damage. We just didn't want to punish players for feeling like a superhero. So I know for some people it's really, really important. For us, we just we felt the best decision for the game that we were making was to not include fall damage.
So animation-wise, does he splat or does he always roll out of it no matter how you hit the ground?
He actually rolls out of it. He actually rolls out of it. But then we also have one of our upgrades is where you can actually, if you land and you kind of press the button at the right time, he can actually spring up and continue moving, either traversing or moving forward.
Awesome.
Gotcha. Lindsay Stanton asks, can we manually make Spider-Man perform classic poses while web swinging through, an upgrade or something?
Classic poses, like just manually doing stuff, no, but there is something you can do that we'll reveal later in terms of when you're swinging around.
Cool. Like later in this interview, or like
yeah. Later before we ship, or
Gotcha.
maybe after, or when we ship.
Arthur Gomez, is the Baxter building in the game? Any references to Marvel's first family?
That we do have Marvel. We have Marvel landmarks in there. The Baxter building is not in there.
This comes from Neosism. Will Spider-Man, and you kind of told me some of this, Brian, by the way. I'm not very clear on it. Will Spider-Man's suit rip and tear when he takes damage? I think you said it was only during story sequences?
Yeah, we have specific moments in the game where it will get damage. We just felt like for the game that we were making, specifically, we wanted... remember, he is a superhero. He kicks some major butt. And there will be moments where he's facing adversaries or situations that are really tough on him, and we want to use that to help communicate the severity of the situation. So we felt like in specific moments, you'll see that damage.
And that
it won't be like every single time you have a combat fight, you'll have rips in the suit.
And in those moments, if you have a different suit on, the damage will be on every suit in the game?
Yeah. Wow. It's one of the reasons why we have it in specific moments. Yeah.
Gotcha. Evanesco wants to know, how much of the game's activities are playable after the story is over?
Anything you didn't finish before the main path, you can go back and finish.
Great. Cool. Rams HBK asks, also, can we go to the Statue of Liberty in the game?
No, you cannot.
This one comes from everyone everywhere again. If you're holding onto your web line with great velocity, can you spin around in loops?
We don't have that specific move in the game.
Gotcha. So this is one that we just talked about this a second ago, so we know the answer to the second half of this question. But Beanie Boy wants to know, will there be multiple difficulty settings? And if so, there will be. Okay. And then just to have the full question, their follow-up was, will the hardest difficulty have fall damage? I'm guessing I know the answer to that.
No.
Gotcha.
It won't.
BME Gaming asks, will there be references to real New York sports teams like the Yankees, Mets, etc.?
No, because we're going to have our own sports teams.
Oh. This comes from BethesdaWare, but again, this is a question from everyone. Why did Insomniac decide to not include a day-night cycle into the game?
For us, we thought that, the truth is, this is a very story-heavy game. And as you guys know, a lot of great games use time of day, weather to communicate a certain vibe to the situation where you are in the story. So we wanted to make sure that we were communicating a certain feeling to the player while they were first making their way through the main story. That being said, when you do finish the game, you can actually change time of day and weather yourself manually.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's going to make a lot of people happy. Some people asked for that. They wanted like the cycle, but I think that one is That's going to make a lot of players happy. They want to see the game at
Good.
night, especially if they're doing photo mode. That came up a bunch where they want to kind of have the right lighting.
I can't wait for you guys to see photo mode when it's done. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, but yeah, I mean it was a creative choice. And I know some people day-night cycles is important. We just for us in terms of story we wanted to tell, we wanted to be pretty specific, but also at the end after you kind of complete the main story, we want to give players the freedom that they have to I really love Sunset. I want to play game for us Sunset. Go for it.
Gotcha. And speaking of completing the story, Radio Bed has a pretty simple question. New Game Plus?
We'll see. I'm not ready to talk about Game Plus just yet.
Gotcha.
I'm going to ask another question on top of that. Maybe you said your favorite Spider-Man game is Neversoft Spider-Man. They didn't do
Spider-Man
New
1?
Game
Yeah.
Plus. They did What If mode.
We don't have a what if mode.
Come on.
I remember. I forgot about that mode completely until you just said it. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, it was like you'd go back into the game and there'd be different things. You'd see like Ghost Rider going up like a building. Loved it.
That's really cool. Man, I forgot about that.
Just delay the game a couple months.
Yeah,
Put it in.
Yeah, that would make everybody, including Greg Miller, super happy that we changed the date.
Speaking of that Spider-Man, is the easiest difficulty called Kid Mode?
No, or I actually think the writers right now are coming up with the terminology for it. So I don't know, but I like the idea of Kid Mode, but it's not Kid Mode.
A friend of the show, Evan Falarka, asks, the prequel novel of hashtag Spider-Man PS4, Hostile Takeover, is said to feature characters like Echo and Blood Spider, along with the game being set in Marvel's New York. Will we see a medium or large amount of references to the wider Marvel universe? Avengers Project? ?
Well, I'll say to Evan, and hi Evan and the Spy Squad, I will say that this is a Marvel New York City. Just think about that.
So I got here one from Vecchio.
Man, you guys have just got questions after questions.
We're almost done.
It's okay. It's great. Great. I'm glad people asked.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Brian. People are really interested and excited about this game.
I've heard.
I've heard. So Vecchio wants to know, will there be an in-game encyclopedia/database? And if so, what types of material would be in it?
Yeah, so I would say that Spider-Man is a super popular character, yet we know varying levels of knowledge from fans, so we will take care of those people to make sure they understand who these characters are and the universe that we're building.
And when we were there, you didn't quite have the name yet for the crafting materials or tokens or whatever they were going to be. Is that something that's been finalized yet, or is that still TBD?
Still TBD.
Okay.
It might end up being tokens and maybe end up being something else. It's game development.
And then you have any more questions, or?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you ask that one first.
DJ Quackman asks, J. Jonah Jameson has a radio show, but can you listen to different stations, or are the radio shows scripted to the moment?
For this game, we're going to have just J. Jonah Jameson. Just the Facts is going to be the show that you'll be able to listen to, and it will happen at various times in the game. Sometimes it'll be scripted, sometimes it'll be random chance. You'll be swinging around the world. He'll chime in.
Cool. And then last question I have, Zangmaster asks, will there be web pits?
That's the most important question.
I love that question, and it's something we totally debated about. He will not have web pits in the game.
At Kyle M. Hilliard on Twitter is asking, what is a web pit?
It's where where in the very early design
like
where he
armpits. Okay.
Yeah,
I think I meant like a pit in the ground full of webs.
I'm not buying it if there are no pits in the ground full of webs.
Yeah, we don't have those kind of pits either.
Oh, confirmed. Scoop.
The last question we have for you, and thanks again for your time here, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me. And guys, you guys did we really loved all the footage and the features over the month. We really appreciated the support, and it was awesome. It was really cool. Like every day I'd be like coming in and checking which feature you guys were doing. So the studio really enjoyed everything you guys did.
Cool. Very cool. Well, thanks again for having us. And this comes from Gray Slayer 204. What are your plans for E3?
You'll see.
Can you confirm we'll see new gameplay?
Well, it would really. I think everybody would be pretty disappointed if we just said we were going to show this the same thing that we showed you guys. So,
will we see the bottom of the statue that comes with the collector's edition?
No.
That's going to be a surprise yet. Wow, that's getting close to launch.
The statue. Yeah. The statue's a big spoiler.
So what's under that thing?
Something.
All right, Brian. Thanks for your time again, and best of luck finishing up the game. And hopefully, we'll see you again soon for some more updates on Spider-Man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
Cool. Thanks so much, Brian. Appreciate it.
Of course, guys. Thanks so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, how were you okay with 100 questions? I know you were really nervous going into that one. Were you happy with it?
You guys did an amazing job editing it. Thank you for making me not look so silly. I appreciate it.
I was fishing for a compliment there.
No,
it was awesome. It was really, really good. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I told you guys I was most nervous about it, but Leah, you guys did a great job, and editing it was awesome. It was fantastic.
Yeah, you guys were great.
And my family definitely appreciated how I became a creative director story. So,
good.
My dad's actually here visiting, and he was watching it, and he was like, "Oh, so that's how it happened." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." It was really cool. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you at E3, right?
All right, yeah, of course. I'll see you guys there. And have a great weekend, guys.
Yeah, you too, man. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Leo, do you want to talk so we can make sure we can hear you?
Yeah, let's just
I'd love to talk.
Do you want to talk about ventrances? Like my perfect favorite ventrance?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Maybe if you have a personal one you can speak to. Or...
Sure. Got it.
Thank you.
I know you love the lines so much. I figured I would just repeat it.
Damn it! He listened to our discussion.
You're not supposed to listen to any of that stuff.
That was private.
Assume it's good. You liked it.